Oh, we don't.
What?
We
I'm
don't
sorry.
have a
Hi, Fraser.
name. We don't have a special name, do we?
Oh, no, we don't. We just have regular tops and flops.
Right in the wrong.
Right in the wrong. Oh, geez. I'm so sorry. I didn't think about it. This is usually.
Objective, empirical evidence coming from your best friends. Subjectivity does not exist this month. Sorry.
No, this
Deleted.
is just
Deleted.
right.
Deleted.
Oh my gosh. So, hi. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome. This is the Rights. We're writing, these are the books that will make you feel right in your heart.
Yes. Even though we're talking about Misery, the Misery May
Misery
books,
May.
so
Yeah.
right in your heart, as long as an ice pick is going through it.
Actually, only one of my miserable books made the tops. So maybe I really don't like miserable books.
Yeah, I only have one as well.
One miserable book that made the top,
Yeah, it's
that
only
made it into.
33% of all books are miserable this time, so that's
No, I
fine.
have some miserable books that made it in my
Oh,
flops. Like they were
yeah, but
terrible.
not in this video.
Not,
That'll
oh,
be,
in this, yeah.
yeah,
So
the
we're talking
percentage
about
will
good
be
misery.
different. Yeah.
We're talking about good misery. Yeah.
Yeah, hurts so
Yee.
good.
Yes.
Well, do you want to
It
start?
hurts so good.
Since you
Yeah, give
have
me.
usually, stuck to the format.
Oh, the book
Usually I don't.
oh gosh. What is it? The book we thought about the most, the
Hmm.
classic, and then a favorite. Okay, I can do that for sure. So the book, the book I thought about the most was probably because I had really good conversations about it. Do I want to start? Do you want to start? I feel rude now. I'm just like, and since I'm sticking to the
Well, I
format, I
asked
get
you
to
to
start.
start.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm like, I'm gonna. Well, I was like, why am I scooting over? Sometimes I scoot over, and then when the recording comes, it's like all flip flop, and then I'm like, I gave myself less room to put in a photo, um,
Just
because
imagine me in a huge hat saying, I'll allow it, like the GIF.
okay, you allow it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the book I thought about the most was actually Demon Copperhead by Barbara
Oh, yeah.
Kingsolver. Yeah, the co-winner of the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction for 2023. And the
How
book that
much
actually, go
how
ahead.
much money did they get for that PS? Like 500 grand each or whatever? Is it $1 million prize?
No,
No, the
no,
Pulitzer? Oh, it's just
no.
peasant money.
It's like 25,000, I think.
Oh,
It's not very
and then
much.
split? So
I don't
25 grand
know.
split?
I don't know if they. I don't know if they split it or if they had extra funding or something. I have
Oh.
no idea how it went
Hopefully
down.
they can still go out and eat.
Well, considering that their book sales probably skyrocketed after they both won, at least.
Hmm.
I mean,
They
I
at
don't
least
know.
paid back their advance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Barbara Kingsolver. Oh my gosh, we're already getting off topic. Barbara Kingsolver is already like a
Who's
best-selling
that?
author.
I
Oh
never
my
heard of her.
gosh, you know you have.
Yeah, I think I've heard of her.
Okay, she. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, so what's
And
that
then
about?
Hernan Diaz, was shortlisted for the Booker, so I think that they both are doing fine. And then they both got co-win. I know they're both co-winners for the Pulitzer, so I think that they both are fine with money wise.
Yeah.
Okay, it is about Demon Copperhead is about a young boy who's nicknamed Demon, though his real name is Damien, which I have an affinity to because one of my favorite students of all time was also named Damien.
But you also
And
hate a book called Damien
I do.
with a passion. So
Okay, so all things are right in the world by loving a book named Demon. I don't know. I don't
okay.
know. Okay, why was it a favorite? Honestly, the character of Demon was so good. He was just so like when he starts off, he steals your soul, he steals your heart. I just want to like give him a big hug. I want to say, come eat a hearty meal at my house, child, and like we will make everything right in the world for you. And then he goes down a path to destruction and your heart breaks, but you never continue. You don't ever hate him. You always root for him. And I thought that it takes a special writer to be able to take you down a trail in which you're like, you were making all these bad moves, but to still, to still make you love him. So yeah, basically that's it. That's why I thought about it the most. And it had a lot to do, weirdly, it had a lot to do with like the drug epidemic. And so having read Empire of Pain, it's like the fiction counterpart, like somebody who lived the experience of drugs becoming a lot, especially drugs becoming a lot more pervasive or whatever, or like a lot more available in the US, and the effects of that on small poor communities. It's like from an inside view, you got that. But it was really good. It was really good. It was a good book.
Apparently.
Okay, what was your favorite? What was the book that you thought about the most?
Yeah, the book I thought about the most.
I'm getting all these notifications on my computer. It's very annoying. So I'm getting very distracted, but go ahead.
The book I thought about the most was Ethan Frome by Edith Wharton. We had a lot of discussions about that.
This one? I can lift it up. I can hold it up for you so I don't have to put in a picture. There you go.
I'll allow it again.
Okay, good. I want to see that GIF flash. You go ahead.
Yeah. I've sent you that GIF multiple times, so it should be seared in your memory. But Ethan Frome is a Misery Bay book, I would say. TM. It's about a woman who, I guess, discovers the story of Ethan Frome after the fact, right? She's being told it, but we get sucked in as a reader to the actual story. And it's just about him being really like intersectional with poverty and his life choices, I guess, combusting into him having a very unmanageable, untenable situation that he is unable to find himself out of because he is poor. He has to work the same job, and because he has these certain circumstances, he's with a wife that does not like him very much, and they are in a pretty loveless marriage. When a young woman comes to town, it sort of reinvigorates his life, and it also sets them all on like a careening path of sadness or misery, I guess you could say. And
the twist.
Yes.
I just can't even.
Yeah, I thought the characters were really well done, really balanced. You can't wholeheartedly, I think, root for any of them at some points. Like at some points in the narrative, you want them to be succeeding, but she does a really good job of making each one sort of villainous in multiple ways as well. And I just thought the character work was just really exceptional, and I liked that we talked about it quite a lot. Like, I don't think we had a discussion about a book like that in at least a couple months time,
Yeah, probably.
So it was also just, surprising, I guess, to me that it would end up like that. Also, it's like rated really low because I think people dislike the morality probably of some of the characters, where I thought it was chef's kiss. So those people
they can suck it. Suck a lemon. Yeah, I just with this, I told Ted, I was like, I think I've read the bleakest book ever. Like, it's so bleak. This is definitely the most miserable of the miserable books. Like, so no hope in the end. Darkness.
For you, it's like the best classic, I guess. Is that what you slotted in as? Or
no, this didn't make it.
Oh, it didn't make it. Oh
no, I kicked it out.
Just like Daisy Jones last time, reliving pain.
I know, I'm sorry. I just had really. Do you want me to do my classic? I mean, because
sure.
Okay, well, I mean, Ethan Frome really, it was very, very good, but
just not good enough for Shelley.
No, it was so dark. It was so dark. I was just like, wow, Edith Wharton, you really went there with the darkness. I swear, there's just no recovering. My favorite classic was Daughter of Time by Josephine Tey, which I suppose
nothing could have beaten it.
Yeah, this Well, this I picked up at the very end of the month, and I did like a reading vlog on it, I guess. I don't really know. I don't know if it was an actual reading vlog. I called it In the Mind of a Mood Reader, in which I chose this book. But what was so good about it was that we are following Inspector Alan Grant. We're not really even following him. He's stationary in the novel. And he, to occupy his mind, tries to solve a mystery, a historical mystery that happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And you would think on the surface that would be boring, but it ends up being really riveting. Like I got all into it. I was like, so what did happen to the boys in the tower? Like I'm just like dun dun dun. And her ability to kind of get you excited about history, but in not a nerdy way, like in an actual genuine way.
Not in a nerdy way.
Like you don't need to be a nerd to enjoy this. I just don't think you need to be. It was just so good. And it's, she doesn't, it's not this long drawn out thing. It's very short, very readable, and in a lot of ways incredibly modern. Like it could have been written yesterday and it would have just been just as good. It was so good. It was so surprising and fascinating. So yeah, this was my favorite classic.
The call is coming from inside the historical paintings.
Actually, yeah, kind of. There's like this whole scene where they're looking at portraits of Richard III, and everybody that walks into the room has a different take on who he is. And it's kind of like you're going through and you're like, huh, really? Like really? Like you just I don't know. It was so good. It was like it's like showing a mugshot to everybody, and then everybody has a different opinion about it. But instead it was a painting. Okay, I sound like a nerd talking about this. I'm with it. What is your favorite classic, unless you don't have one? Or is it a modern classic?
Yes, it's a modern classic. It's a book that should be a classic. Well, it's tough because Ethan Frome would have been that, but I think it's the book that I thought about the most instead,
Yeah, definitely. It gave me nightmares probably. I was like, oh.
Okay. Well, it didn't freak me out that much.
I mean, it didn't freak me out. It was just like, oh gosh, I hope my life it never ends up like that. So yeah.
Well, I think it'd be hard to do, unless Ted gets a job cutting wood or whatever, then you can start being suspicious.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, they don't have kids and everything. Anyway, the fourth book in the Terra Ignota. Last month, I selected the first one, I think, right? To like the lightning, or a couple months ago, something like that. It was on there. This is the conclusion. And I think more like the entire series is what I think would be like a modern classic, because I think it really reinvigorates the genre. It's really smartly done. It does have like non-hard sci-fi elements to it that will put people off that are into that with sci-fi, but as long as you're into like even fantastical notions of like powers or whatever being introduced in your sci-fi, then you're okay with it,
That's cool.
Then it will resonate. It's very like excellent at confronting gender norms and historical notions around who is telling, the truth and steering history, as well as like a society that purports to be basically like utopian. They think that they fixed everything when they haven't, and why that notion was spread about and how it happened and interrogated. It was just completely fascinating. It is 4 books, so it's like a commitment. Not all of them are as big as this one, though. Usually they're like, half to 3/4 of this one. And the first one's quite short. I think this one's like 600 pages.
Okay.
Yeah, like 586. And the first one's, I think, only like 350, something like that. But yeah, it's just really smart and kind of harkens back to classical sci-fi, but updated, modernized, done very well. Has, again, like plays around with perspectives, bouncing around from different people, and this whole series purports to be like a history of what has happened with like a conflict that has erupted. So all those perspectives matter quite a bit. They're all like, again, giving like different notions about why something has happened and where they might be headed in the future. But it ends like strangely very hopeful. I really
That's cool.
enjoyed it, despite it being ostensibly pretty bleak, because the first book is about this utopia falling, and then the conflict that it gets into.
Oh. When you were like, you don't know who's telling the truth. I was like, you mean like Daughter of Time? But then it's like,
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
read it, but I'm glad that Ada Palmer was there for you. She
Hmm.
and that she, made it. She created a really good series and just didn't like taper off into
No.
boringness or
The first
something.
book is definitely, I think, my favorite because it's more plotty, and
Oh,
you don't necessarily get the feeling from the first book that the second book is and the third and the fourth are going to be more like cerebral slow burns. But once you make that shift in your brain, then you're like, I'm actually pretty down for this. So,
okay.
or at least I was.
You were. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great though. I'm glad you liked it. So that
Hmm.
was your modern classic.
Should have been a modern classic. He
Isn't
said
it like a
after it's
brand?
been out for like a year or something.
Yeah, I was like, isn't it like a new release?
Yeah.
This this one I read at the beginning of the month, but it's one of your favorite books, which you never guess anyways. But I feel like you could if you
I don't
thought.
test well, Shelley.
I'll give you a sense of the color.
Oh, Bunny? I thought that
Yeah.
was last month that you loved that one.
No. Maybe?
Okay. Did you? I thought you read that the previous month, but maybe not.
I'm pretty sure like I finished it in May. I'm
Okay.
like, oh no. Can I talk about it even if I doubled up on talking about it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well,
Bunny
Bunny Bunny.
deserves all the accolades.
Oh man. Okay, well, now I'm worried that I already talked about it. Then I would be the one with a bad memory. But anyways, or not testing well. Jeez, now you're gonna look it up.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, I
Maybe
just
I
talk about it. Go ahead.
okay, well, Bunny, but no, oh my gosh, Bunny 101. I liked it because it was bananas and cuckoos and off the rails and so strange and so odd. And
But
now I'm
also
like,
hyper intelligent.
now I'm like worried that I already talked about it.
You probably didn't. You have a better memory than I do.
Um, but I just really loved it. I just loved it. I thought it was wild, weird, but in the best way.
Is it one of your favorite books of all time?
I don't know. I think only time will tell. Like will tell me that information.
I don't like that answer.
I I thought it was one of those books that I think could have gone either way for me.
Like you
Like
could have
it could
hated
have
it?
yeah, like if it was done poorly, I think it would have been like something that I would have recognized pretty quickly that it was just like, oh, that was done really poorly. But instead, it was done in a way that was just so outrageous, you know, that I just really enjoyed that. I liked how outrageous it was. And that's kind of and what it's about is a, woman in a prestigious graduate school program in which they are supposed to be discussing and exploring art and writing. I guess writing in particular.
Yeah.
And she sort of gets in the in group, but then the in group doesn't end up they're wacky and off the rails. And then that sort of leads her to going off the rails herself. And yeah, I liked that. And it was great. I don't know how else to explain it. It was great.
It's a very like MFA book.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was, but I think if the story hadn't kept me like if I had to sort of forgive something or like but I didn't. I had to it was just like every page I was just like this is so wild and I wanted to know
Hmm.
what was going to happen next.
And I usually
And
don't even like comedic elements in my stories, and that's very comedic all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was good. It was just so good. And so I just really enjoyed it. And I could see myself having really loved this like even several years ago when I was a very different reader. So it kind of reminded me of like an older self. I would have like picked this up and found it weird and strange and great.
You
And
weren't
then
ready for it.
yeah, yeah. Oh no, I would have been ready for it. But then it was kind of nice to get in touch with that kind of like reader that I used to be. Um, and yeah, I don't know, there's just something weirdly nostalgic about it, but yet refreshing. So anyhow, this was good. I really enjoyed this. Right. What's your
Well,
last book?
I'll ask you next month if it's one of your favorite books of all time yet.
Okay.
Every month they'll be like, "How about now?
I
Are
don't
we
know,
there
but
yet?"
yeah. All right.
Okay, well, my what's the last category that we had?
Favorite babe?
Favorite fave? Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense for this one. So my favorite fave is Genderqueer, a memoir by
Mm,
Maya Kobabe? Kobabe? I'm not sure how to pronounce
Kobe.
that.
I just checked
K
that
O
out at
B A
Hoopla.
B E.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But this is what it says it is on the tin. It's like intersectional and about a person who's questioning multiple facets of their identity. Like I would describe them as being quite fluid, especially in the early years, which makes sense. And being very restricted, I think, by the time period in which they lived, like me, where the internet was not quite ubiquitous and they didn't have like intersections with queer culture until later. So they were really struggling to figure out how they felt about their body, how they identified, what to do about those things. Some content warnings for like it's like very graphic in some
Hmm.
parts, particularly around like when she receives a period. It was surprising to me.
Okay. I'm like,
um,
okay, yes.
yeah, but it's, I think, very thoughtful. It even goes into pronouns later on. I'm not
Hmm.
sure if they still use those pronouns or not because it is so fluid throughout it.
Hmm.
But they use the pronouns for a little while, at least in the book.
Hmm.
And yeah, it just covers like, it seems like far more out there and more singular of like an identity quote struggle, I guess, that's been put on paper than that I've consumed before. And I've read quite a few queer memoirs before, even graphic novel type ones. So
Hmm.
I thought it was just really exceptional.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I found out that my Hoopla has it, and so I checked it out
Do
because
it.
I could just use them credit left, right, all over the place. I
Yeah.
know. I'm sorry. But
I
yeah,
only get 2 credits. It's a
I,
crime
I
against
think
my
I get like
person.
9 or something like that. I know. You really need to go back to your library and say that they need a barter for a better deal with Hoopla. Seriously. But
Yeah, I'm sure they'll do something about it if I speak up.
maybe you're the last voice they need to like push them over the edge.
Yeah, we actually have a shadow petition right here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that was your favorite fave. Now we're
Mhm.
gonna go to the wrongs. I have such good wrongs. They're like done.
Ooh,
They're
yeah,
terrible.
I've
Oh,
got
especially
some.
one of them. I have like a rant for that one. Although I never actually rant, do I? I just kind of like
Well, women talking. I think
women
that was a little
talking.
bit more. All right. Yeah, that wasn't that.
I
No,
haven't
not women
read women talk.
talking. Women. What was the vampire one that you hated? Women something.
The vampire one.
Yeah, the one where she was an art student and
Oh,
she
woman
it
eating.
messed woman eating. Yeah, woman something.
Rant about that.
Uh, Let us know in the comments below if you thought that was a rant.
It was fun.
One vote for a rant.
One vote for not a rant. Okay.
Well, but
Well,
it's about you, so should you be able to vote? I don't know.
someone should vote that it's not a rant so that it's even, okay? Not that I
Hey,
should sway
stop
them.
trying to influence your people.
Well, yeah. Anyhow,
Don't use your parasocial relationship for bad.
it's for good. It's for my it's for my agenda.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like well, thanks for having me on to
Yeah, thanks.
derail you multiple times.
I know. I was like, had I talked about money? I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know either. It felt like you had read it the previous month, but I don't know.
I thought I read it at the beginning of the month because
What
I
is
have it.
time?
I don't know.
Yeah, me
Linear in our
neither.
experience. All right. I'm gonna go. We're getting really off the rails. All right.
Bye.
Bye.